Hey there, how's it going? It's Keith Hayden, the digital novelist. Here in this video, you're going to see me take you behind the scenes of a writing session for my current supernatural horror novel, Gates of Okinawa. This is going to be a lot of fun. If you want to check out the rest of the archive footage, this is what this is for. I'm recording this session. Usually I record after the session, but I decided today to do something different and actually walk you through one of my writing sessions. If you want to see the rest of it, and the previous 129 days, I didn't document every day, but most days I documented something. This is day 130. You can go and check out the Gates of Okinawa deluxe package, the digital novelist starter kit. You're going to get all the behind the scenes videos that I've made for this project, which there's a lot. Not just videos, but there's audio, there's documents, there's other stuff too. Check it out on my website. Link's going to be in the description of this video. Now, how I like to start my writing sessions is you can't see over here because all my books are in the closet, but I have a shelf of books, just one row where all of these books are somehow related to my project. And I'm writing a horror story right now, so I've got some Japanese spooky stories in there. Let me just pull one here to show you. This is a book that I got when I was in Japan. Bunch of local stories. The story takes place in Okinawa, Japan. So I've got a book written by an Okinawan. I think it's a woman. It's about a woman, but I think it's written by a guy. But yeah, in here I've got that book. So just a bunch of different interesting books. So I pull one of these books randomly off the shelf and I just read a page, and that sort of just sparks some ideas. And sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. Sometimes I find just good descriptions or just kind of gets me back in the mood in the book. And today, the book that I randomly chose was 1984. I have the Spanish version from a couple of years ago. I got this when I was learning Spanish. And yeah, I just read a page from it, and yeah, it's 1984. You know the story by now. So I'm going to jump right into this writing session. Quick summary of what's going on in the story at this point. This is chapter 18 that I'm working on right now. And at this point in the story, we're really ramping up to a reveal of the monster. Or the monsters, I should say, in this case. This is a common trope in horror. You know, there's usually some type of monster or some type of supernatural threat or psychological threat, whatever, that is teased in the beginning. And then you just slowly see it building and building and building. And so this is one of those chapters that's like very close to the reveal. We're not quite there. There's still maybe one or two more chapters, but this is going to be one of those. So in this scene, Gates of Okinawa is about a high school teacher, an American high school teacher in Japan, and then she starts having weird things happen to her. Her and several of her students get caught up in this scenario, basically, that pits them against supernatural forces in Okinawa, and they have to end up fighting against the forces. That's the quick summary of the story. So in this scene, we're focusing on the students, and the teacher has gotten in some trouble. She's been accused of starting a fire at school. The fire is related to the supernatural events and just kind of weird things that are happening. And now the students are kind of circling up and just getting this information about how the teacher was in the hospital, and now she's being questioned by law enforcement for suspicion of starting this fire. But there's a twist in this scene. In this chapter, it's not just vanilla narration. No. This chapter is basically being narrated by the demon that's stalking them. A little bit of a fun twist. And this demon is a demon known as a Garappa. In Okinawan folklore, this is like a lizard-type demon that lives in the mountains, usually preys on like young women and things like that. That's just what it is in the folklore. And so in this book, I kind of remixed it a little bit, and he's basically like the chief of staff to the head demon, who has not been revealed yet, but has been teased several times throughout the story. Just images, flashes, creepy shit, how it goes. And so that's where we're at in the story. So I'm going to set my timer. I usually set a timer. I usually write from anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes in a sprint type fashion. I'll try, and it's hard for me to record videos and give commentary as I'm writing because it's kind of like two conflicting scripts in my head. Like, what do I want to say about this? And then what do I want to write? So I'm probably going to write a lot in silence. That's okay. And yeah, I may chime in. And another thing is my mic's just right in the way of my keyboard, so it's hard for me to write and look around it. I've done it in several weird videos, and it looks very weird me doing this, like looking down. So I don't want to do that. I'm just gonna swipe it out of the way, and then if I think of something that is interesting to say, I will say it. But this is just mostly an archival thing. This ain't trying to blow up or get monetized on YouTube or anything like that. So if you think it's boring, click away. See ya. But if you're interested in the process, stick around. And if you're interested in getting a sneak peek at the story. Okay, so this demon is what I like about writing him is he's kind of like a poet type character. So I made him kind of speak like he speaks kind of like in an older way, kind of like that old classical English type way, the way he it just puts words and just kind of Shakespearean poetic type feel. I just thought that would be interesting, and I talk about how I like to make my characters kind of pop out visually on the page. Of course, it's not drawing, but I mean, with words you can do this. If you haven't tried this, because when I read a lot of indie fiction, or I hear like newer authors who write, a lot of their characters sound the same. They sound what I guess is what they sound like, the person. But what I love about fiction is that it allows you to get out of what you sound like, and you can try on what you think somebody else would sound like. Of course, we have no direct experience of whatever other people are like, but there's a lot of clues. There's writing, there's just watching people. I'm a big fan of people watching. This was a something that I liked to do when I was younger, but as I got older and as I got into certain lines of work, I used to be a cop in the military. So, in that type of job, law enforcement, you're always watching people, you're always watching things and listening. And I love bringing that to fiction and then just playing with that and extrapolating. Well, what would this person do in this situation? How would they sound? How would they act? Things like that. So, I thought that would be pretty interesting. So, you can see how he's kind of communicating. He's doing surveillance, but he's this is like a record of what he saw. That's what you're getting in this chapter. Okay, so I think this is good. Actually, I know it's good. I really like this because this chapter is going to connect to. There's going to be an event where it's called Gates of Okinawa. And so we've got to have gates in the story. And so that we're coming up on the point where the first gate is going to appear. And that's during a storm. So at the end, as this chapter winds down, getting very close to the end of this chapter, I almost wanted to end it on when the demon says, I sensed and smelled a storm afoot. I like that just very definitive ending. It's a cliffhanger, and the reader's like, what storm? What's happening? But I really want to wrap this up with the students because I want the next chapter to flow into different characters. So I think I need maybe a few more lines too, because the whole point of this scene, and this is a good writing lesson right here. The whole point of this, like, I always think, what's the point of the scene? Like, why am I writing this scene? Like, not only where does it fit in the greater story, but what is the purpose? Like, are we trying to showcase characters? Is it action heavy scene? Is it a more backstory type of scene? Does it just give context? I always want to see what the main thing is, and it's always difficult with these student scenes because there's 5 students, and so you kind of have to, you know, space it out to where they're all there for a reason. They're not just standing around because I don't like doing that. Just putting it's kind of a waste to put a character in a scene and you don't do anything. They don't talk. They don't perform any actions. Like, why are they there? So the point of this scene is a connection scene. It's to really, because this is the first time we focused on the students in a couple of chapters since all this shit went down with their teacher. A lot of it was focused on the teacher for the last 3 or 4 chapters. Now, this is basically a reaction scene. Like, how are the students doing? How are they taking the news that she was hospitalized, the whole fire? Like, what's happening now that's going to lead into the next event? So that's the whole point of the scene. And then, of course, having that lens of the demon looking at them through the scene is definitely adds a little bit of tension there. Like, will he attack them? Will he? Because in the previous chapter, he talks about, hey, we're trying to take revenge. We're trying to save our world from these humans. So will he strike? That type of thing. Reader doesn't know. Shit, I didn't even know as I was writing this. I almost thought about having him attack, but that's not really his style. He's more, like I said, he's more of like a surveillance type of guy. But trust, later he is going to get in the streets. He will be fighting. That's it for this writing session. I want to cut this off. This has been about 25 minutes. I don't want to make these videos too long. Uh, I hope you enjoyed this. What did you think of this? Let me know. Sometimes I play music when I write, but I find the more stuff that I have going on when I'm recording a video, when I've got music, when I'm trying to do like commentary, talk about what I'm writing, it just takes me away from actually writing. So, of course, I just get less done, which is fine sometimes, but sometimes, other times, it's like, okay, I really got to focus on what I'm doing here with the writing. What are you writing? What are you working on? I've been working on this novel for a long time consecutively. Well, it's not a long time. Actually, it's a very short time to get this far. By the way, this is the second draft of this novel. So if you want to find the first draft, it's not that great of a first draft, but if you want to see it, you can go to keithayden.net and you'll find a link to Gates of Okinawa, the digital novelist starter kit. And then, like I said, you can find all of the archived footage. You can find, I did a lot of audio recordings when I first started this novel a few months ago. You'll find all that here. And then eventually this video will find its way up there as well. This is my personal archive that I'm giving you access to just to help you and show you, because most of the time you don't see fiction writers actually writing. You don't see them thinking through ideas, and I get it. First drafts are very sensitive to a lot of people, and sometimes it's just you're just not ready. But I want to bust the doors open on fiction writing and make the process more transparent. Watch me write in public to give you the confidence you need to write your story, and just talk about my experience writing fiction to help you level up your craft. I'm Keith Hayden, the digital novelist. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.